Welcome back to another Explainer. Today, we're diving into a household mystery that, let's be real, strikes fear into the hearts of homeowners everywhere. You flush, the water goes down, you start to walk away, and then you hear it. That ominous, bubbling, glug-glug-glug sound coming from the bowl. The dreaded post-flush gurgle. But what does it actually mean? Is your plumbing about to completely explode, or is it just kind of clearing its throat? Well, today, we're opening up the case file on the gurgling toilet.
It's incredibly unsettling when your house suddenly starts making noises at you, right? You immediately start picturing the absolute worst-case scenarios. We're talking massive water damage, giant repair bills, the whole shebang. But hey, I want to validate that anxiety right out of the gate, because your plumbing talking back to you, that is absolutely a sign you need to pay attention. So we're going to treat this as an active mystery. Together, we'll look at the evidence, identify the culprits, and figure out exactly why your plumbing is trying to communicate with you. Let's start with the actual science behind the sound. It really all comes down to one fundamental concept: equalizing pressure. Look, there isn't some monster living in your pipes. That gurgling sound is literally just the sound of a battle happening right inside your walls. Your plumbing system is desperately trying to balance the flow of air and water moving through the drain and vent lines. See, when water rushes down, it displaces air, and the system, well, it has to find a way to balance that equation out.
To really grasp this, you kind of have to imagine your plumbing system as something that needs to breathe. It needs a constant, clear supply of air to keep things flowing downwards. When the system is starved of air, it creates what we call negative pressure. And what happens when a vacuum is created? The system basically panics. It pulls air from the absolute nearest available source. And often, that source is right backwards through the water in your toilet bowl. That pull of air through the water? That is exactly what creates that characteristic gurgle.
Okay, let's dive into Section 1. The usual suspects. What's causing the gurgle?
Now that we know we're hunting for a pressure problem, let's bring in the lineup of our usual suspects. According to our source material, the data points clearly to three primary culprits that mess with your plumbing's air and water balance. We're looking at partial blockages in the drain line, problems with the venting system, and overall slow drain lines. Let's interrogate them one by one, shall we?
Suspect number one is the partial blockage. You can think of this like a traffic jam on the highway. Something, maybe years of minor buildup, way too much toilet paper, or just random debris is narrowing the lane. Now the water can still get past, but it's definitely not smooth. Because the path is obstructed, the water level violently fluctuates as it squeezes by. And that physical disruption, it forces the trapped air back up through literally the only exit it can find, which is your toilet bowl.
All right, moving to suspect number two. Let's see how this builds on our understanding of pressure. Remember how we said the system needs to breathe? Well, your home actually has plumbing vents, usually up on the roof, that are specifically designed to let air into the pipes. If those vents get blocked by leaves, maybe bird nests, or in colder climates, even a cap of solid ice, the system's airway is entirely choked off. The negative pressure builds up dramatically, and your toilet starts literally gasping for air, causing that loud gurgle.
And then we have our third suspect, which is honestly pretty sneaky: slow drain lines. The crucial point here is that you don't even need a full, massive clog to cause a gurgle. If your main sewer line has early-stage buildup, it acts like a bottleneck. The whole system drains just a little too slowly to keep up with the volume of a flush. This can cause this frustrating intermittent gurgling that kind of comes and goes depending on how much water is currently trying to exit your home.
Which brings us to Section 2, gathering clues. Isolated incident or widespread conspiracy?
So, how do you figure out which suspect is wreaking havoc in your home? It's time to put on your detective hat. You need to ask yourself, what else is happening in your home right now? If the toilet is the only thing acting weird, the problem is likely an isolated fixture issue. The blockage is probably trapped right there in the toilet's own pipe curve, or maybe the short run connecting it to the main line. But if you flush the toilet and suddenly the bathtub gurgles or the bathroom sink starts bubbling, yeah, you've got a shared system problem on your hands. That means the issue is deep in the main drain or the main vent stack.
Take a walk around your house and start hunting for these critical red flags. Are multiple fixtures draining slowly? Are you noticing any strange, bad sewer odors lingering near the sink or the bathroom? Is water rising up in the shower drain when the washing machine runs? Does the gurgling get noticeably louder during heavy water use, like when everyone takes a shower in the morning? Oh, and definitely check the floor for any signs of leaks around the base of the toilet itself. These clues are absolutely your roadmap to finding the root cause.
Moving right along to Section 3, the verdict. DIY fix or call for backup?
Based on the clues you found, you might actually be able to close this case yourself. If the gurgling is isolated, brief, and the toilet generally drains normally otherwise, you can absolutely try some safe DIY steps first. Start by just checking inside the tank to make sure the flapper is sealing correctly and the water fill levels are right. Next, grab a proper flange toilet plunger, not one of those flat sink plungers, it makes a huge difference, and give it a few solid plunges to dislodge any minor localized clogs. And of course, check the bowl for any obvious visible blockages. Often, that's really all it takes to clear a simple traffic jam.
But before you get too aggressive, please heed this massive warning from our source. Avoid using chemical drain cleaners repeatedly. I know it's so tempting to just pour a bottle of harsh chemicals down the drain and hope for the best. Don't do it. Not only can these chemicals literally melt and destroy certain types of plumbing pipes, but if they don't work, they just sit there as a highly toxic puddle. That makes it incredibly dangerous and, honestly, much more difficult for a professional to diagnose and fix the actual root cause later on.
So, when do you wave the white flag? Well, you need to call a licensed professional immediately if you see any of the undeniable signs we've got here, if you're dealing with frequent backups, if the gurgling is persistent after literally every single flush, if multiple fixtures are acting up at the exact same time, or the ultimate red flag, if you turn on the bathroom sink and the water level in the toilet bowl actually starts rising. Those are massive warning signs of a main line or main vent failure, and trying to fix that yourself will likely result in a very, very messy disaster.
When you do call in the pros, they don't just guess. They bring in the heavy artillery. They use specialized fiber optic camera tools snaked right into your pipes to visually pinpoint the exact location and nature of the blockage. Once they find it, they use heavy-duty equipment to completely clear the blockage out, safely restore proper airflow to the roof vents, and thoroughly test the system. They want to confirm that everything is flowing perfectly without any of those problematic pressure changes we talked about earlier.
So there we have it. A gurgling toilet isn't a ghost, and it definitely isn't something to just ignore. It's your home's way of telling you that its air and water balance is under attack. By knowing the usual suspects and actively looking for the right clues around your house, you can figure out exactly how serious the issue is. So I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder. Now that you actually know the language of your pipes, the next time you flush, what will your plumbing tell you? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep listening and keep learning.